Right, here we go. In at number 10 is an 80s classic. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night. Released in 1984, the film follows Billy Chapman, a young man freshly released from an orphanage who goes on a killing spree dressed as Santa Claus because, as a kid, he witnessed his parents get murdered by a crazy man disguised as Santa. The film was extremely controversial when it was originally released, but has since gone on to spawn several sequels, all mostly pretty shit to be fair, and a remake which I actually haven't seen. There's currently a reboot in development too, so I don't know how far that's in development, how far, is there a script, is there anybody attached, I'm not sure, but they definitely announced a reboot of sorts a little while ago, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. It is a film that I do enjoy. It's a bit, the acting's not great and it's very hammy, but it is considered a bit of an 80s cult classic now, and it's one of those films that will always appear on the top 10 Christmas horror lists. And it's a must see Christmas horror, so if you haven't seen it, please go and check it out now.
You scared, ain't you? You should be. Christmas Eve is the scariest damn night of the year.
In at number 6 is the most recent release of the entire list, a film that was actually only released this year. It's Terrifier 3. We've already spoken a bit about Terrifier 3 on previous episodes of the podcast. It's a brutal film with insane gore and some crazy kills, and it's a huge improvement on the previous two films from a production standpoint, from an acting standpoint, and from a writing standpoint. Really enjoyed the third film, although I am fully aware that a lot of people did not enjoy it, mainly because of the violence towards kids, which I'm fine with, as it's not something new. It's horror, folks. People of all ages die. That's the point of horror. Like, there shouldn't be an age discrimination about who dies. Do you think killers aren't like, oh, I can't kill this kid because he's too young? They don't give a fuck. They'll kill whoever they want to kill. As long as art doesn't kill animals, then I'm all good. Although there is a scene featuring rats, which is a bit unpleasant. I'm pretty sure the rats do die, but it's more about what they do to the humans in that scene. I'll not give any spoilers away. That's a pretty gruesome scene. But I think the character of Art the Clown is already a horror icon and will now live on in horror infamy. I'm not sure if he'll ever be on the Mount Rushmore of horror icons, but as me and Danny postulated on our Frighties episode, I do think Art would work well in a versus movie, like a Freddy versus Jason type horror movie with another horror icon, maybe Ghostface, or I think we actually mentioned Leatherface as well. Battle of the Chainsaws. Sounds good. Okay, so the runner-up in our top 10 favourite Christmas horror films of all time is Black Christmas. Bob Clark's iconic 1974 Christmas horror film is the quintessential slasher that influenced an entire generation of horror films in its wake. This was pre-John Carpenter's Halloween and was a huge influence on the likes of Halloween and, of course, Wes Craven's Scream, which itself helped to reignite the horror genre in the mid-90s. It stars Olivia Hussey, Margot Kidder, Gare Dulea and John Saxon, and was made for less than $700,000, which is absolutely mental. It is considered by basically everybody as the godfather of slasher films, and without it we probably wouldn't have had Halloween, or Friday the 13th, or essentially any of the slashers that dominated the 80s. If you haven't seen Black Christmas, then where have you been, like? Come on, what the fuck? Go watch it now. What's the crack? How have you not seen it? How? Go watch it. And we're not talking about the remake or what is it, Black Xmas, or the other Black Christmas remake. I think there's been 2 remakes now. I haven't seen either of them, but I've heard that they're both shit, so go back and watch the original from 1974. Great slasher, really clever, super influential. Celebrated its 50th anniversary last week, and it still holds up pretty well all these years later.
Agnes, it's me, Billy.